I was standing in the middle of Crestview Ridge High School's cafeteria, frozen, while 300 students stared at me. My brother Evan was on top of a lunch table, arms spread wide like he was addressing an arena. He was a senior. I was a sophomore. And right then, he was turning me into a punchline. My little sibling here, Evan said, gesturing down at me with exaggerated drama, thought they could get away with wearing that to school. He pointed at my oversized hoodie, the one I'd worn 100 times without anyone caring. And get this, they actually told me last night they're scared of talking to people in class. Imagine being *that* terrified of life. Laughter erupted. Not polite chuckles. Real, loud laughter that bounced off the cafeteria walls. His friends were slapping the table, recording on their phones, egging him on. I'd told Evan that secret in our kitchen at midnight when I couldn't sleep, when I'd trusted him enough to admit I struggled with anxiety in crowds. Now it was entertainment. My face burned. My hands shook. I wanted to run, but my legs wouldn't move. 2 teachers stood near the vending machines, watching, but they didn't intervene. Maybe they thought it was harmless sibling teasing. Maybe they just didn't care. Evan wasn't finished. And the best part? They still think we're close. Like I'm supposed to walk around school holding their hand or something. More laughter. Someone yelled, "Savage." I finally moved, pushing past students toward the exit. Behind me, Evan's voice followed. "Don't be so sensitive. It's just a joke." I realized something in that moment, something that made my stomach twist. This wasn't spontaneous. Evan had planned this. He'd known exactly what he was going to say, exactly when to say it, exactly how to make it hurt. The hallway was quieter, but not quiet enough. Whispers trailed behind me like smoke. 2 girls I didn't know were repeating Evan's joke, laughing. A guy from my math class shook his head, looking uncomfortable, but said nothing. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out. Evan's text read, "Relax. They needed a laugh. You'll get over it." I stared at the screen. Get over it. Like humiliation had an expiration date. Like trust could be superglued back together. I shoved my phone away and kept walking, faster now, needing to get somewhere no one could see my face. By 6th period, the story had spread. 3 people asked me if that cafeteria thing really happened. 1 girl I barely knew said, "Your brother's hilarious." I didn't respond. I sat through classes in silence, counting minutes, waiting for the day to end. On the bus ride home, I stared out the window and realized something worse. The humiliation wasn't fading. It was spreading faster than I could escape it. At home, I locked myself in my room. The house was quiet. Mom wouldn't be back from work until 7. Evan was at practice. I sat on my bed and stared at the wall, replaying every moment. I thought about when we were younger. Evan used to walk me to elementary school when Mom was sick. He'd make sure older kids didn't pick on me. Once, when someone stole my lunch money, he gave them such a sharp look they returned it and apologized. He'd promised me back then, "I'll always have your back." That memory made this worse. Because it meant he knew exactly how much this hurt. It meant he'd chosen his friends over me anyway. When Evan got home, I was waiting in the kitchen. He walked in, dropped his gym bag, grabbed juice from the fridge. Acted like nothing had happened. "We need to talk," I said. He sighed. "About what?" "You know what." He shrugged, leaning against the counter. "It was just a joke." Everyone laughed. "No one's thinking about it anymore." "I'm thinking about it." "Then stop being so sensitive." His tone was casual, almost bored. "High school's about reputation. Mine matters. You'll understand when you're older. So my feelings don't." He looked at me, really looked at me, and said something I'd never forget. "Honestly, if it meant keeping my friends entertained, I'd do it again." He walked away. I stood there, hands clenched, realizing my brother wasn't who I'd thought he was. The next morning, I told my best friend Nia Coleman everything. We were sitting in the library before first period, and she listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. "You know why he did it, right?" she asked. "Because he's cruel. Because he's desperate." Naya leaned closer, lowered her voice. Evan's been struggling to stay relevant. New athletes are getting attention. His friends have been teasing him about losing his edge. I heard them last week near the lockers, making jokes about him carrying his awkward sibling around. I blinked. So he sacrificed me? Exactly. You were his way of proving he's still cool. That he doesn't care about anyone's feelings, not even family. She paused. It's pathetic, honestly. That context didn't make it hurt less. But it did make me realize something. Evan hadn't humiliated me because I deserved it. He'd done it because he was scared of becoming irrelevant. I was just collateral damage. By lunch, the joke had mutated. Now people were saying I'd cried in front of the whole cafeteria. That I'd run out screaming. That I'd threatened Evan. None of it was true, but truth didn't matter in high school rumors. A guidance counselor, Ms. Tamsin Rowe, pulled me out of English class. She was young, maybe late 30s, with kind eyes and a no-nonsense tone. I heard what happened yesterday, she said, closing her office door. Are you okay? I hesitated. Then I told her everything. Not just the cafeteria incident, but the text, the rumors, the way Evan had dismissed my feelings at home. She listened, taking notes. This is bullying, she said finally. And because it's family, it's complicated. But the school has protocols. I'm going to speak with administration. Will that make it worse? It might make it better. She met my eyes. You don't have to protect him. I left her office feeling lighter and heavier at the same time. School administration was now involved. Things were moving beyond my control. That afternoon, Evan's girlfriend Maribel Knox found me by the student parking lot. She was quiet, an honors student who mostly kept to herself despite dating the most popular guy in school. Can we talk? She asked. I nodded, wary. I hated what Evan did, she said quickly. I laughed because everyone else did, but I felt sick after. I wanted to apologize. Why are you telling me this? She glanced around, then lowered her voice. Because Evan's not as secure as he pretends. His GPA dropped last semester. He's on academic probation for the team. If he doesn't improve, he loses his spot. And colleges are watching. I processed this. So his popularity is a facade. Mostly. He's terrified of losing everything, so he overcompensates. That's why he did what he did to you. It wasn't about you at all. It was about him trying to feel powerful. She walked away before I could respond. But her words stuck with me. Evan's fear was showing. And when people were scared, they made mistakes. The following week, the school announced a student leadership showcase. It was a big deal. Seniors competed for scholarships, captain positions, and college recommendations. Evan was a frontrunner. Everyone expected him to dominate. Then my name appeared on the selection list. I was chosen to present a project on community service initiatives. I didn't even know I'd been considered. At dinner, Mom congratulated both of us. Evan's jaw was tight, but he forced a smile. Congrats, he muttered. Thanks, I said, not looking at him. The reality settled in. We'd be on the same stage, in front of the same audience. And suddenly, Evan's humiliation tactic felt like it might backfire. Rehearsals started the next Monday. The showcase coordinator, Mr. Adrian Bell, ran a tight ship. He was a history teacher known for being fair but firm. During the first rehearsal, he watched each presentation carefully. When I finished my practice run, he nodded. Strong delivery. Clear structure. Keep that energy. Other students murmured approval. A few asked questions about my project. I answered honestly, without exaggeration. I wasn't trying to show off. I was just prepared. Evan's rehearsal was solid, but less polished than usual. He stumbled over a statistic. Mr. Bell noted it. Evan, tighten that section. You're better than this. After rehearsal, I overheard two of Evan's friends talking. Did you see that? They're actually good. The other one nodded. Yeah. Maybe we misjudged. Attention was shifting. And Evan noticed. Over the next few days, something strange happened. Evan's friends started hanging around me. Not mocking. Genuinely curious. One of them, a guy named Caleb, asked about my project during passing period. "How'd you get so much done?" he asked. "I just worked on it consistently," I said. Another friend, Jordan, admitted later, "That cafeteria thing Evan did? Honestly, it was too far. We should have said something." I didn't respond. I didn't need their apologies. But I could see the shift happening. Evan's control over his social circle was slipping. They were starting to question him. One night, I caught Evan staring at his phone in the living room, jaw clenched. He didn't say anything, but I could feel his frustration radiating across the room. The night of the showcase arrived. The auditorium was packed. Parents, teachers, students, everyone was there. I was backstage, running through my notes one last time. Evan was across the room, surrounded by his friends, but he was quieter than usual. When it was his turn to present, he did well. The audience clapped. But then, as he was wrapping up, he made a mistake. He tried to inject humor by making a sarcastic comment about even my sibling managing to pull together a decent project. The room went silent. Mr. Adrian Bell, sitting in the front row, stood up. "Evan," he said, voice cutting through the quiet. "This is a showcase of respect and integrity, not a platform for put-downs. If you can't honor that, step aside." Evan's face went red. He stammered an apology, finished quickly, and left the stage. The applause was polite but restrained. When I presented, I focused on the work. I didn't mention Evan. I didn't need to. The quality spoke for itself. The applause was genuine. Long. I saw Ms. Rose smiling in the audience. Maribel gave me a small nod. Backstage afterward, Evan avoided eye contact. The next morning, Evan was called to the principal's office. Word spread fast. Disciplinary review for bullying. Coaches were informed. Scholarship committees took note. At lunch, Naya told me what she'd heard. Coach Lionel Price pulled him aside. Asked if the cafeteria incident was true. Evan tried to downplay it, but too many people confirmed it. What happens now? His under review. Could lose captain consideration. Could lose his scholarship chances. I should have felt satisfaction. Instead, I felt hollow. This wasn't what I'd wanted. I just wanted him to understand what he'd done was wrong. That night, Evan cornered me in the hallway at home. His eyes were frantic, desperate. "You need to help me," he said. "Help you how? Tell the school it was a joke. That I didn't mean it. That you're fine." I stared at him. "You want me to lie? I'm going to lose everything," he said, voice cracking. "The team, the scholarship, my future. Please. Where was this concern when you humiliated me? I'm apologizing now." "No," I said calmly. "You're scared of consequences. That's not the same as being sorry." He grabbed my arm, not hard, but firm. "I'm your brother." "You were my brother," I said, pulling away. "Until you decided your reputation mattered more than my trust." He stood there, frozen, finally seeing the cost of what he'd done. Over the next week, I set a boundary. I told Evan I wouldn't retaliate, but I wouldn't protect him either. What happened next was up to him and the choices he made going forward. He tried to apologize again, this time more genuinely. He admitted he'd been scared, that he'd made a terrible choice, that he wished he could take it back. "I can't undo what I did," he said quietly. "But I want to be better." "Then be better," I said. "Not because you're losing things. Because it's right." For the first time, I saw real shame in his eyes. Not fear. Shame. Graduation approached. Evan lost captain consideration. His scholarship chances were damaged, though not destroyed. He'd have to rebuild his reputation the hard way. I gained respect, confidence, and a scholarship opportunity for community leadership. The hallways felt different. People saw me differently. But more importantly, I saw myself differently. On graduation day, Evan found me after the ceremony. No friends around. No crowd. Just the two of us. "Congratulations," he said. "Thanks. I mean it. You deserved this." I nodded. We weren't close anymore. Maybe we never would be again. But there was truth between us now, and that was something. As I walked away, I realized something. Humiliating someone to feel powerful only proved how weak you were. High school reputations faded. But character followed you forever. Evan had learned that lesson the hard way. And honestly, maybe that was exactly what he'd needed. If you've made it this far in our story, thank you for listening. If this resonated with you, if you've ever had to stand up to toxic family members or protect yourself from those who should have loved you, please share this video. Leave a comment about your own experience because you're not alone. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more stories about real people standing up to injustice and finding their strength.